Hi, I'm Alex Winter. Welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show.
Welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show.
Be excellent to each other and subscribe to the Sarah O'Connell Show.
Alex
Sarah.
Winter, welcome to the Sarah O'Connell Show. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. How about you?
I'm really excited to speak to you and celebrate your new movie. And if you don't mind, I have a couple of questions about a few classics first, just to get the party started. Yeah, great. So it's coming up to the 40th anniversary of The Lost Boys in 3 years, 2027.
Slow down. We're not there yet.
I know, right? It's ridiculous. I can't believe it. Do you think there'll be any plans for the 40th anniversary? And what do you attribute to that movie's lasting success? I know that on any given year, I can still go watch it in a movie theater and it's still got a huge following.
Yeah, I hope, Warner Brothers has been really good about releasing fun things on big landmark events around the film. It's had a really healthy life in home video. It really found its success in home video, and now we're into streaming and Blu-ray, things like that. But and funnily enough, I would attribute its longevity to something Kiefer was saying not too long ago, which I agree with, which is just that it was a kind of a sleeper hit theatrically, but it really took off in the home video world of the 90s, and now I just think it's appreciated as just this very special, interesting, idiosyncratic movie that Joel made, that he had in his head, that is very hard to replicate and could have gone terribly wrong. I think every movie that lasts, and it's not to sort of overstate the film's importance, but I think every movie that lasts a test of time is always kind of on the knife edge of either working or not working. And I just think Joel had a really great vision, and he was lucky in some ways and very adept in others, and he got that thing on the screen.
Yeah, it's an amazing movie, and I got it originally on VHS when it came out, then DVD, then Blu-ray, and I watch it every Halloween. It's one I love revisiting.
Right. Yeah.
So good.
Perfect.
So moving on from that movie, you also played Bill S Preston Esquire in, of course, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Bogus Journey, and Bill and Ted Face the Music. The first question is, if you had a phone booth and knowing what you know now and you could visit one period in time, where would you go?
Knowing what I know now is the operative question. I mean, there's so many pivotal moments in history where we as a collective human race made the wrong choices, right?
Most of them.
Yeah. And I think that, I don't know, there's a few pivotal ones that we could have course corrected a little better than we did. I don't know exactly. I don't know if I would. I think I would probably go to a period of time that inspired me, that I loved, and I think either sort of like Paris in the teens, or sort of the London. In this, I was in London in the '60s, but I was like 4 years old, so it doesn't
Right.
count. But to be sort of in London when things were kicking off in the '60s would have been incredible in so many ways: music, art, culture. And then other sort of ancient sort of civils, be around ancient Greece, the birth of drama that we know today. I would have loved to have seen a Euripides play done live. That'd be pretty incredible. So there's so many things that one would do, I think, if you really had the opportunity. I think I'd be afraid to try to fix history, you know?
Yeah, it could be tricky. I was just wondering if there was a period in history that I could attempt to fix using a dinosaur. Just let a dinosaur loose and it'll somehow fix
Right.
it.
Well, there's many of those. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that Bill and Ted's story is done now with the trilogy, or would you consider coming back again in the future, or perhaps their stories living on in video games or another animated series?
Yeah, I mean the gang, we're tinkering with a fourth movie idea that all of us like, and the guys are going to write.
Wow.
So we'll see. I mean, it takes us time to get these things going, and we never want to do them unless they're great. And it doesn't mean the writers don't always write something great, because they're super talented, but it just has to be, they feel the same way. Like, it has to be right. And the movies are we love them because they're oddball and they're not kind of typical mainstream films. And they've never been cash grab movies. Like, no one's gotten rich off of the Bill and Ted movies. So we really do make them like sincerely from a place of love and interest. And so there's a really good idea the writers came up with for a fourth that's kind of obvious. I don't want to give it away. I can't give it away. They would have me drawn and quartered, but it is a really great idea, and kind of an obvious idea. So It will get written, and then we'll see when we can actually get it made. Maybe a little while.
That's very exciting, and I look forward to hearing more about it. I've had Ed Solomon on my show before, and Keanu Reeves even, so that was fun.
That's great.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I've completed a trilogy of my own by having you on here too, so that's exciting.
Great. Yeah. Now you got to get Chris, who's also a great interview.
No
So,
pressure. Yeah, I'm going to try
yeah.
that next. So you've directed a ton of documentaries over the years too. Trust Machine, Showbiz Kids, Zappa, The YouTube Effect. Looking back, is there one that you're the most proud of? I know Zappa, for example, was the highest funded documentary in crowdfunding history on Kickstarter.
I mean, I'm very, very proud of Zappa. It was also the hardest film I've ever made. It took years and it was very, very hard, but it was very gratifying. Uh, the Showbiz Kids is probably the closest to my heart because it's the closest to my own story. And it is the closest thing I've done to an autobiography without putting myself in something. So that was a very kind of moving and cathartic experience to work on for me. And I was I'd had that idea for a long time. I wanted to do that film right after Downloaded, and I couldn't find anybody who was interested because the way I wanted to tell the story was so specific. And a good decade later, I found people who loved that take, and we got it made at HBO, and it did really well. I was very grateful. So I'd say probably those two are the sort of the ones I'm most proud of, though I really do love all of them, and there's something in all of them that I really find gratifying.
Absolutely, and I really highly recommend everyone goes and seeks those documentaries out there on a ton of different streaming platforms, and I know one's available on Sky Documentaries in the UK as well, so go check that out.
Yeah, I think Zappa's still in the BBC player too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm really excited to speak about your brand new movie, Destroy All Neighbors. I watched it last night. Wanted to
It's
start with
insane, right?
a little bit. And so you play Vlad, who is a really kind of extreme, chaotic, noisy neighbor to start with.
Yeah.
You're also a producer on that movie. First of all, can you tell me how you just got involved?
I came up as an independent filmmaker, making short films and music videos, and then my directing partner Tom Stern and we had a show on MTV called The Idiot Box that was very chaotic and intense, and we made the movie Freaked, which is still playing. Was at the Prince Charles not long ago, actually, in London. And under a lot of prosthetics. I did a lot of prosthetics work in the Bill and Ted movies, and obviously in Lost Boys, and it's having come from a Broadway background, a theater background, that's sort of makeup and inhabiting strange characters. Certainly not the only thing I do, but I do enjoy it. And I find it a very legitimate form of acting, and it's very rare that you get a chance to do it. And it's not about becoming a monster. It's not like monster movie stuff, though I like those, but it's more usually comedic or hyper physical. You're being another human being that exists in the world like a real person, just someone that is not like you at all. So my friend Jonah Ray Rodriguez had the film already with Josh, and they were putting it together, and he knows my sensibilities and I know his sensibilities, and I knew they were in tandem. And he gave me the script, and I just said, look, it's going to be hard to make. It's very ambitious for the money, but it's great when anyone wants to try to do something this kind of aggressive and ambitious and fun and DIY, and just get a bunch of your artist friends together and make a movie is very much the way I came up. And I was like, I can probably help get it made. I'm certainly game to try with you guys, and I'm happy to play Vlad and bring some of my other sort of effects. Everyone brought people in, like Jonah had acting people and Josh had people, and it was stone soup. We just kind of pulled all of our kind of master friends from other areas of the industry in to help us make it. It was a lot of fun. It's a very silly, very crazy, wild movie, but we had just an enormous amount of fun making it.
So one question I have to ask, having watched the entire movie, is, and there's a slight spoiler here for something that happens to your character towards the beginning, but when Vlad's head accidentally falls off, William Brown's
Delicate way of putting it,
yeah, he has an accident. William Brown's problems really begin in the movie, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that everything that happens afterwards could have been prevented if he just gave Augie a croissant?
100%. Yes. It's the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very good question, and actually, the answer to that is definitively yes. Yeah.
It has informed my life to carry one round at all times now.
If you have a croissant on hand to
Mm,
give someone in need, your life will go much better.
I think so,
Yes.
but the music may not.
No, exactly.
Right? It's a balance. Life's a balance.
It is,
So
yes.
can you tell me, of course, you mentioned you're in prosthetics. How long did that process take each day?
Much less than it used to back in the day. And we did heavy prosthetics on Bill and Ted 3. So recently I'd been back under them again for an extensive makeup. The old man makeup that Keanu and I did were very extensive, that Kevin Yeager did. And Kevin is the same artist who did my Granny Preston makeup for Bogus Journey.
That was
And
amazing.
so all these decades later, it's quicker to get out of. It's similar amount of time to get into. Bill Corso, who did my applications on Destroy from designs that were created by Gabe Bartalos, Bill worked on Lost Boys with me, worked on Freaked with me, worked on Bill and Ted 3. I've known him for a good chunk of my life, and Bill got me into Vlad in like 3 hours and out
Yeah.
very quickly. So it wasn't, I know that sounds like a lot of time, but if you're an actor who doesn't mind doing that kind of work, it's really not that big a deal. It flies by.
How does that compare to movies like Freaked and Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey?
Those were like twice as long almost.
Really? Wow.
Like Freaked was like 4.5 in and 3 and change out. So it was like 7.5 hour process every day, just to get in and out. Whereas Vlad was just 3 hours done. So, because getting out took 2 seconds. So it's just the makeup's gotten very sophisticated. The other thing about wearing it today is this, you don't feel it. Like it breathes, you don't feel it on you. It's very light and malleable. You can easily emote through it. So it was, sometimes I would forget I had it on. I would only know because people were looking at me funny.
I have that if I do my makeup bad one day. Like
They look at me funny anyway.
Half a sandwich on my face or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
No one tells you. It's like, well, I ate that 8 hours ago. Why is nobody?
Yeah.
I also need to talk to you about some of the positions you must have been in while you were filming it as the head. Because there's one where you're on a couch. Were you kind of built into the couch?
The whole thing was shot on sets. So we were building sets that could accommodate my body and various people's bodies, other actors as well. So I was I would either be buried into a wall. Oh, there go my dog. Wow, that's really loud.
You have 800 dogs.
I have 2, believe it or not. I would be sort of placed into a wall, or I would be sort of crunched up in a ball. With the drum kit thing at the end, and various places that I had to be put. In a bathtub at one point, they had to build a very complicated rig to get me into that in the position that I was in. I didn't mind. I like doing physical work. Like I said, I come from theater and I'm trained physically, and all of that stuff is fun for me. But it was super complicated in terms of how we shot the movie. It made the film logistically quite complex.
And the film at certain points is pretty gory too. Am I right in thinking it's mostly practical effects?
It's almost entirely practical effects. There's very few CG comps. Like they're used for cleanup, like a wire removal or a green screen replacement or something. They're really like blood sprays, things like that. Almost all of that is in camera. There's very little of it that was augmented in post. There is some blood spray and some stuff, but almost all of that is in camera.
So I was excited to see Kumail Nanjiani makes a cameo, and also I love that Randee was in there as well.
Yeah,
she was, of course, the iconic mum from the Karate Kid.
Yep, yeah, she's the best, and makes such good use of her scenes. And then, with what happens to her, she's mostly a voice, and she's fantastic.
Yeah, I won't spoil that, but yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
Have you got a favorite scene to film? Obviously, there was a lot going on in that movie.
There's a lot going on. I think my favorite scene to film is my death scene because it was just so chaotic and insane. And we spent so much time working on it. There was a lot of work done on the script and prep, and we would rehearse at my office. We all live in the same neighborhood, and we would improv and we would rewrite and we would get it up on its feet and we'd physically work. And it was fun because Jonah's like super tall and I'm pretty short. So like there's like working out height differential stuff, and there was a lot that went into the film to make it work, given that we would have so little time to shoot it. So I was pretty proud of the way that scene came out because it was very complicated, but it ended up working. So I
Yeah,
was
it's an
happy.
amazing scene. And did anyone get injured during that scene, by the way?
Nobody, no.
Just in the
It's
film,
all-
they got quite injured, but
Yeah.
apart from that, they're
Yes.
all okay. Good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you get to keep any props or souvenirs or costumes from that movie?
Well,
Or
right now I have a pretty big production office. Right now, almost all of the film is in my office. So right now, I've inadvertently kept almost everything. But I'll figure out what I want to keep. I'll probably keep some piece of Vlad. Some aspect of Vlad. I've done that with most of the films I've done. I have some aspect of them, their wardrobe or piece of. Look, for years I had the Bad Robot Bill head from Bogus Journey. It was a doorstop in my house. So anything that kind of reminds me of the shoot.
I love that. Of all the people I've asked that question to, you're the first that has the entire film.
Exactly, yeah. And I don't particularly want it either. So just so, yes, for the record.
But it's really nice decor for any house.
It is, yeah,
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 I think so.
yeah.
So Destroy All Neighbors is out right now on Shudder.
Yep.
If it proves popular, would you consider doing a sequel?
I mean, it would have to be very popular, but there's a lot of room for that just because of the way the film is constructed. And all of us, the whole gang really enjoys working together. So I could see that.
And instantly, the soundtrack is out right now as well, and it's got like 69 tracks.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. A little bit of a Bill and Ted homage there. But yeah, I mean, because of the Prague references, there's a lot of the tracks and because it's score, a lot of the tracks are really short. But it was Ryan Kattner and Brett Morris, and Ryan's from Man Man Band and an amazing band unto itself. And there's a Man Man single on that's new for our movie. It's on the soundtrack, and that's on Sub Pop, which is also very cool if you're a music fan.
Absolutely. So go check that out. And so
Yeah.
here's a question that I ask every guest on the Sarah O'Connell show. Can you tell me a fun fact about yourself, a hobby, a party trick, something like that?
Gosh, I have so many party tricks. I don't know. One of my favorite things actually to do is to cook. So I spend a lot of time in the kitchen, and so does my wife. We have three boys. So there's always a lot of cooking, and I like to. I became over the years pretty adept at barbecue, so I've become like the pit master at my house. But I don't do it with any gas. I don't do it with anything electric. It's all like fire, giant logs and fire and cooking meat. So that's normally where you can find me on my downtime.
That's amazing. I love barbecues, but in the UK, there's normally only about 2 good days a year. So the entire street's doing them at the same time. There's a massive cloud forms.
Yeah, you got to
Massive
run and do
problem.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what you're working on next? Anything in the pipeline that you can tell us about?
Yeah, directing a film in the spring, a very black comic crime drama that I'm playing a small part in, but it's starring Evan Rachel Wood and Josh Gad, and I'm in pre-production on that right now.
It's very exciting. You're, of course, welcome back to talk about that when you're able to. So you're also a trans ally. Have you got any messages for the community? They're going through a kind of tough time at the moment.
I mean, my only message to the trans community is that there is a lot of support, and it's sad that it is a fight because they're just people trying to live their lives. There shouldn't be a fight, but it's a fight that will be won. The world has moved on, and there's people who are trying to drag things back, and they're not going back.
Now, you've done it all in front of and behind the camera. Have you got any tips for anyone that wants to get into filmmaking?
I mean, I think that there are things about making films today that are easier. The means of production are much less expensive because of technology. Even means of distribution exists because of YouTube and things like that. But it really comes down to story at the end of the day and mastering story. And if you put most of your effort into watching films and reading plays and watching plays and books and mastering story, then it's the cream does tend to rise to the top. It can take time. It can take longer than you want. It will not go as you expect. So I would say the discipline to study story and then the perseverance to keep going no matter what. And that requires having a job. So I'm always telling the younger generation, don't be a hero, go get a job, like have your bills paid, have a roof over your head. It's very hard to create when you're hungry and freaking out over paying your bills. And then just let it take the time that it's going to take, because it will probably take time.
It's very good advice. And so my final question, have you got any messages for people watching the Sarah O'Connell show and your fans around the world?
I mean, just my appreciation. I've been doing this a really long time. The idea that I still get to do it and that people care about what I do on any level or the projects that I'm in or are interested in talking to me about this stuff. I mean, I have a huge amount of gratitude for that. I'm well aware of how difficult this business is to both be in and to get into. So I feel at this point in my life just extremely grateful for the things that I've done that have had any impact on anybody.
Alex Winter, I've loved your movies my entire life. Thank you so much for coming on my show today to chat about them and celebrate them a little bit.
Well, thanks, Sarah. Thanks for having me on. I'm sorry it took so darn long.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Next time
Okay.
I'm going to try and get it down to 4 years or something. It'll be good.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
joking.
Yeah, who's counting? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really patient.
Yeah.
Like I've waited between Bill and Ted movies. This is fine.
Well, you got a long way. Yeah.
Yeah, really do sincerely love all of your movies, your documentaries, and all the stuff you just put out into the world. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thanks so much. It was great to be on.
Absolutely. And thank you to everybody watching at home. Be sure to share, subscribe, give this video a big thumbs up, and leave lots of lovely comments. I'll see you all again soon for another episode of the Sarah O'Connell Show. Bye.
Thanks, Sarah. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Hi, I'm Alex Winter. Be excellent to each other and subscribe to the Sarah O'Connell Show.